You're the fire, the refiner.
Hey y'all. So, welcome back to my channel. And if you love testimonies of how God came through, comes through, and delivers, and is always on time, then make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Okay, so today's video is one that is near and dear to my heart. Y'all, I'm going to share with y'all my journey of becoming a believer. I'm spilling everything, telling all my business, and leaving nothing behind. You ready? Let's go. So, I do feel like I have to start off with the fact that I did grow up in church. So, my mama actually told me, I've been in church since I was in her womb. So, I've technically been in church since before birth, y'all. At least that's what I like to say. So, my mama always had us active from children's choir, ushers to church plays. She made us do it all until we got up until a certain age and we could tell her that, hey, we no longer like doing certain stuff. And then she didn't make us do it if we didn't like doing it. So we eventually stopped. Ushering was first to go on my list, but I did stay in the children's choir until I felt a little too old to be in the little children's choir. So my life with God at that point was always whatever I heard someone else say about God. It was whether it was in conversations I overheard from other adults in my family or from church members or their testimonies, but it was never anything personal. So my life before God, I will tell y'all, it wasn't like I was like this super bad child or anything because I was really quiet, but I was also very insecure and I had this attitude of wanting to be accepted and wanting to be liked so bad. Y'all, embarrassing, embarrassing stories that my mom would just like randomly like bring back to my memory about certain things from my childhood. And I'm just like, I don't want to remember that. But yeah, so like this one time, I remember doing some science activity in my elementary class, and it was like you had to stick your tongue inside like a cup of soda or something. I don't really remember what was the point of this science experiment. I just remember, that it happened. Um, but there was this group of girls that I just thought in my young mind was so cool, and I just had to be friends with them. You know how that goes. If you know, you know. But I can remember the instance of them like throwing away their soda, saying, "Ew, it's so disgusting to drink it," because the teachers had gave us permission. Okay, the experiment was over. They told us the point. They said y'all can drink the sodas for y'all little treat or whatever. But those girls that I just had to be friends with were like, "Ew, that's so disgusting to like drink the little soda," and so they threw theirs away. Well, my best friend at the time was just like, why is it so disgusting? Like, it's yours, it's your saliva or whatever, right? And I don't know, like, why I'm telling y'all this story, it's just kind of one of those embarrassing stories that just kind of reminded me of like that time period of when I was trying to fit in or when I wanted people to like me and when I was people pleasing, so to speak. Because I was just like, my attitude was, oh, well, if those girls think that is disgusting, then it's disgusting, right? Even though it's like, it really is. Okay, anyway. But so I did what they did. I threw it away and tried to be like them. I could probably tell you a whole lot more stories, but that's all we're gonna share today. But that time in my life though was so short lived. Thanks be to God, glory be to God. Okay, it was so short lived. But let me finish telling y'all more about my life or my like little short period before God. So, other than clearly having low self esteem, wanting to fit in with who I deemed was cool, and also going through like certain family stuff, like by the time I was in third grade, my parents separated. That hit me hard. I felt like it was my fault, and it's not your fault. They tell the children that all the time, but somehow, as kids, we still take on responsibility for it, even though it had nothing to do with us. Um, but it didn't stop there because my parents were also on again, off again. And of course, as I got older, my mom explained it to me why. And as an adult, I get it now. People don't get married to get divorced. So people want to try, and they want to try again, and they want to try until eventually you just realize that, hey, you know what? I deserve better, and I deserve more than this. Um, and to be honest, I was just kind of like thinking about this situation. I was like, I could now see how some of my decisions in my past relationships probably were affected by me seeing that on again, off again relationship between my parents. Um, and I'm gonna share more with y'all about that story in like another video, okay? Because it just kind of like blew my mind when I finally realized it. That I was like, wow, huh, okay. So, anyways, they were together and then separated for like at least three more times before my mama just finally said, you know what, enough is enough. And during this time, though, I was also becoming numb to emotions and to feelings while I was seeing my family get back together, split up, get back together, split up, and going through all the emotions of that. I eventually just swept a lot of things under the rug. I no longer began to cry because I was just tired of crying. I was began to like expect the worst out of people. I began to be the one that people could run to, but I didn't trust anyone with my emotions, and I didn't believe that people actually cared. Though I was a nice person, I was happy, I was loving on the inside, though, your girl, I didn't allow myself to feel. I didn't allow myself to express emotions, right? So as I grew up from third on up, I began to sweep everything under a rug and lock all of my feelings away in a closet. Now, I want y'all to remember that because in my next video, we're going to talk about that closet, that proverbial closet that I use to lock all of my feelings and emotions away in. I grew up pretty much going with the motions for the most part by seeing my family like break up, my mother and brother crying over and over, and everyone expecting different outcomes, but the same thing happening, which ultimately led to the divorce. I began to just check out emotionally. And I can remember telling my mama, now it might not have been exact because I don't remember exactly what I said, but somewhere along the lines of you're being stupid for going back to him, of which she did slap me in my mouth, okay, but I was like completely out of it and I was over it. And on top of that, I was also dealing with like a chronic skin condition called eczema. So it's just pretty much dry skin, that's all. But the eczema played a huge part of my self-esteem issues, to the point where growing up, I always felt like, okay, I got to cover up my skin out of embarrassment, feeling like no one would want to be friends with a girl with eczema. And I mean, I remember I had little kids like literally pointing and making fun of me for it, to the point where this one girl, y'all, she saw my eczema. Even though she asked me, was it contagious, right? I told her, no, it's not. Like, I was literally born with it. This girl gonna go and tell the entire class. I think this was also my third grade. Yeah, this was my third grade year. She can also tell the entire class, this girl is contagious. If y'all sit with her, y'all are gonna get it. Like y'all, I remember this like it happened yesterday, right? And she was just like telling everybody they could get it if they stand next to me, sit next to me, whatever. Even though I did tell everyone that she was lying, that wasn't true, and I was trying to tell people how I was born with it. Like, it doesn't work that way. But either way, y'all, that day at lunch, no one no one, and I mean no one, would sit next to me or talk to me when I was in elementary school. Like that, back then, I don't know if they still do this now, but in elementary schools, you had one table and your whole class had to sit there. So there's literally like, let me see if I can paint a visual for you. Okay, my whole class was sitting down here. I was sitting down here by myself, literally. Until do want to let y'all know God always sends an angel, okay? Because there was this one girl who did come and she sat with me, and she just like she didn't believe the story that other girl was telling. Yeah, so she sat with me that day for lunch. And this is, this part of my story with what I dealt with before God. And if you want to hear more about how I dealt and kind of like still deal with living with eczema, I would love to make that a video topic because it's not a lot of videos about there about it. So we're talking now, I'm dealing with low self-esteem, trust issues, daddy issues, sadness, rejection, identity issues, all the things, including not even dealing with my own emotions. Like, y'all, I was hot mess express, okay? And I'm talking all of this before the age of 13, by the way. So my parents finally call it quits. My mama moves us to a new city for her job. Same state, we're just in a different part. We see my dad on the weekends now. And I think I'm entering middle school at this point of my story, right? That was cool. I get a group of girlfriends, female friends, okay? They, of course, become my besties. We're all into boy bands, male singers. I want you to think Justin Bieber because your girl definitely had that Bieber fever, okay? I am so weak. That's so funny. Okay. But around eighth grade now, okay, so we skipped sixth and seventh. We're now into the eighth grade year. And I was very much so into, I don't know if y'all know about mindless behavior, but yeah, I was very much into them as well. But in eighth grade, I was also introduced to fan fiction. Now, if you've never heard of it, already good, don't, because those girls are nasty. I mean, straight and raunchy. Some of the stories got a great plot, which is why I read them, but they always had sex in them. And I mean, explicit sex to the point that, I mean, you're basically reading porn instead of watching it. If you read fan fiction stories, to be completely honest. And this also, fan fiction also started me off into sexual fantasies in my head, right? So me and some friends, we started writing stories also, but just to share between each other. I discovered then that I actually loved writing. I never wrote sex scenes in my stories though, but my friends always said that I had the drama and I could clearly get into the minds of each of my characters really well. So your girl had that going for herself. So on top of everything that I already told you before, now add on to that my imagination is beginning to be my escape from reality. Like when life was getting too hard, when my emotions were too much, I literally would shut down, zone out, and go to la la land. Like, and I would pretend or dream of like an alternate universe or reality that was or felt like was better than whatever I was going through currently. Now, our imagination does come from God, and it can be a powerful tool that God uses to show you things. But if used in the wrong way and used in the way that I just told you, like how I used to use mine, it can lead to like damage, soul ties, all sorts of things. And and I think I'll cover that in another video though. So, a part of my imagination, even though I wasn't physically having sex, I was mentally. And purity isn't just about being a virgin indeed, but also in your mind, emotions, which I was clearly failing at the time. So now I'm about 13, and my mama is working at a church at a church that has a daycare in it. She tells us they having a youth conference night. and she asked if we want to go. We like, sure, we'll go. So we take, it's me and my brother. We get our cousins who live right around the corner from us. They all go with us. First, let me just talk about the experience of what I felt there, what I can remember. First, there were people of all races. So I'm not going to lie to you, up until 13, I've only seen either black people go to church or white people go to church. But at this conference, there were black people, white people, Hispanic people. Like, I saw a mix. And that was pretty cool for me to see like so many other different races also, are Christians and they also go to church. I thought that was cool. So that expanded my mind that, hey, there's other races out there that also, believe in God. Yeah. Because like I said, at 13, I had only ever seen either black people or white people. That was it. But also, let me just tell y'all this. The Spirit of God was literally there in that place. And even though I didn't know what it was at the time, when I look back on it, I know now that that's what it was. It was the Spirit of God. Because teenagers were worshiping God with their hands lifted, speaking in tongues, falling out, and no one was yelling. No one was prompting them to do it. And no one was like laying hands on people. When growing up, that's what I saw. But to see that it was happening like unprompted, like that was a totally different experience as well. I can remember being there, and all I remember next is by the end of the night, there was an altar call, and I was there at 13. So I'm giving my life to God. I'm crying because of all the pain. I'm worshiping God as if it was my first time ever hearing of Him. And I've been completely changed ever since that day. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I lived perfectly, or that I didn't continue to struggle with lust, controlling my mind, my self-esteem. But I can tell you that submitting to God and living to God made the whole thing worth it. The devil still tried me, but God always got the victory. And I don't want to make this video too long because we almost, getting a little lengthy. But if I was to tell like the 13-year-old version of me, or maybe there's a 13-year-old out there that's seeing this video now, I would say this, like, do it. Like, do it. Give your life to God. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be ashamed to love God. Don't feel like you have to be less than who God created you to be for people to like you or want to be friends with you. Y'all, there's a lot more to my story that I'm going to share like in parts. So stay on the lookout for that for the next part. And also remember that closet that I told y'all about. Because in my next video, I'm going to share with y'all, like after I gave my life to God, He took me on a series of steps of things that I had to do and get like delivered from, get closure from. And it all starts with that closet. And I'm telling you, it's going to be pivotal. Okay, so until next time, I love y'all, but God loves you more. Peace. Don't you worry about tomorrow.